Welcome to my channel. What makes the Joshua vs. Whyte fight even more significant, beyond the brutal exchanges and electric atmosphere, is how it served as a microcosm of what heavyweight boxing is at its best. Skill, raw power, drama, character, and narrative all colliding in real time. Every second of that fight told a story, and that story resonated far beyond the ropes. Both fighters entered the bout undefeated, but their paths had been starkly different. Joshua had the Olympic pedigree, a heavyweight frame that seemed sculpted by design, and a media machine already building him up as Britain's next global superstar. His knockouts were clinical and swift, and he'd rarely been touched in the ring. He was the polished product, fast-tracked for greatness. But that polish came with pressure. He wasn't just expected to win, he was expected to dominate. Whyte, on the other hand, was cut from a different cloth. Gritty, underappreciated, and self-made. He had been through adversity inside and outside the ring. A past suspension, limited amateur experience compared to Joshua, and fewer big-name fights meant he came in as the underdog. But that suited Whyte. He was used to the hard way. And unlike Joshua's previous opponents, Whyte wasn't overawed. He wasn't there to survive. He was there to break the myth. When Joshua landed that shot after the first-round bell, and Whyte responded with fury, pushing, shouting, and charging across the ring, the illusion of clean, respectful Olympic-style boxing was shattered. This was real. Personal. You could feel the tension not only between the fighters, but across the crowd in the commentary box, and likely through TV screens around the country. This was no longer a showcase, it was a war. In the middle rounds, when Whyte had his moments, especially when he rocked Joshua and had him momentarily stunned, the narrative shifted. For the first time, doubt crept in. Could Joshua's chin hold up? Could he survive a real test of endurance? Could he dig deep when the tide wasn't in his favor? Those few minutes of uncertainty humanized him. And in doing so, they made him even more compelling. He was no longer invincible. He was a fighter. A vulnerable, courageous, adaptable fighter. And Whyte, though ultimately on the losing end, had made himself known to the world. He showed heart, power, and grit. He proved he belonged on the big stage. His losses wouldn't define him, his performances would. And this one, even in defeat, was a performance that earned him respect, fans, and future main event opportunities. Another layer to the story is how both fighters carried their culture and upbringing into the ring. Joshua, the disciplined figure shaped by structure and opportunity, and Whyte, the self-reliant warrior forged through hardship. Their contrasting backgrounds added emotional depth. This was more than a boxing match. It was a battle of mindsets, of life philosophies, of routes taken to the same destination. The bout also highlighted the incredible resurgence of British boxing. For decades, UK heavyweights had played second fiddle on the world stage. But on this night, two young, hungry fighters proved that the UK had its own gladiators capable of headlining in Las Vegas or Madison Square Garden. The quality of the bout, the passion of the crowd, the coverage, it all pointed to a new era. In the years that followed, the echoes of this fight continued to reverberate. Joshua would go on to capture the WBA, IBF, and WBO world titles, packing out stadiums and becoming a global figure. Whyte would become the most avoided contender in the sport, building his record with big wins over top names like Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora, eventually capturing the WBC interim title. Yet even after all that success, the shadow of their first war remained. Fans continued to call for a rematch. Promoters hinted at the possibility. And when either man showed a crack, the other's name always came up. Because no matter what happened after, that December night defined a part of who they were. It was a fight that lived in their history, and in the minds of fans. It remains one of the most re-watched modern heavyweight bouts for good reason. Not just for the highlight reel knockout, but for the journey both men took in that ring, from composed technicians to desperate warriors. It was a fight that had everything. Clean punches, foul play, momentum swings, controversy, courage, animosity, and ultimately, respect earned the hard way. Joshua vs. Whyte wasn't just a great fight. It was a classic. A battle that reminded fans why boxing at its best isn't just a sport, it's storytelling in its rawest, most primal form. Subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for more update.